Jenna noticed that there was less than 2 weeks to her next mortgage payment, meant that she didn't have enough money to pay it off in full. Is that with the soaring inflation and the cost of living rising dramatically, that her mortgage was not the only thing that's going to be difficult to pay this month, but for the months following. And to make matters even worse, if they didn't change their way of living, the mortgage would be off by more than $500. Jenna began brainstorming about what to do, and the first place to look was the internet, by quickly opening her laptop and searching on Google for the top 10 frugal living things to live by. While searching, she immediately realized that she had no idea what her expenses were every month, and neither how much her household actually made. This sparked her to frantically search for all types of receipts, bills, and any payments on her shared credit card debts with Tom. She began adding up the numbers almost as fast as the computer would when she gasped at what she saw. The number that she wished she could erase from her eyes was a massive $500 over their income every month. She knew that this number would only get bigger. While disparaging over the budget she created, she caught an old lampstand in the corner of her eye. She realized that she could make some extra cash by selling that used item in the house. She began to gather what she knew that she could get rid of and list them on marketplaces like Facebook and Craigslist. And by the end of the day, she managed to rack in an extra $150. And with that, Jenna then learned her first frugal rule to live by. Sell your old things when you don't need them instead of just throwing them away. She was ecstatic with her great start, but she knew that there was still about $350 left to pay off, when another idea presented itself in her mind. She remembered that she had recently bought a lovely shirt on Amazon that really didn't fit her all that well. She'd been procrastinating on returning it, but she realized that she would have the money come right back to her if she did. And in the blink of an eye, she managed to get it returned to get towards an extra $35 in her pocket. Jenna then memorized her second frugal rule to live by, which is returning items that you don't need. With a little more sigh of relief, she now had about $315 left to figure out how to save. However, she feels lost for ideas. Her budgeting isn't giving her any way to figure out how to cut costs, and nothing is catching her eyes anymore. She then does a Google search and tries to get some ideas on when she notices that she may be spending too much on groceries. Although she tells herself, I need all of these items and it doesn't look like we're overspending, suddenly an advertisement popped up on the blog that she was looking at for a coupon ad. She quickly installed the app and realized that she would be able to save an extra $50 on her grocery bill. The number's already reduced to $265 at this point, as Jenna breams with excitement. Jenna repeats to herself, the third frugal rule that I'm going to live by is always using coupons for purchases you know you're going to make. On that same blog article, she saw the subtitle, Get rid of unnecessary subscriptions. This resonated with her, realizing that she not only has all of the major streaming services for shows, but also several streaming services for music. She realized right then and there that she would have to let go of many of these services and learn to stick with only one streaming and one music service. When she cut down her subscriptions, she managed to pocket an extra $75 every month. The fourth frugal rule Jenna started to live by is to make sure she only had subscriptions that were necessary. With only $190 left to go, Jenna continued her obsessive mission to pay off her mortgage. Unfortunately, though, Jenna started feeling hopeless again. The feeling was so overwhelming that she needed to find a way to get rid of it. And what better way to do that was to go on a shopping spree. She filled her online basket, and she also quickly remembered how much she spent last month according to her budget. It was a total of $265. With her mouth gaping in shock, she immediately emptied the basket and avoided spending for the entire month. And in fact, with this realization, she vowed to herself that she would only spend at most $100 a month for herself with online shopping. And with that vow, Jenna firmly stated to herself, the fifth frugal rule that I'm going to live by is to limit my online spending to what my budget allows. With her mortgage bill paid, she was relieved, but there was a lingering problem in her mind, a much bigger problem. She thought to herself, just because I've managed to fix our expenses to pay this bill off doesn't mean that we're secure in the future months. Inflation and prices are still on the rise, so if I don't learn to prevent this from happening in the future, then we'll fall into the same pit again. This thought inspired Jenna to go over preventative ways so as to reduce her family's expenses. While scrolling through her YouTube homepage, she noticed a video titled "Reduce Your Fixed Expenses." The YouTuber said, quote, "Insurance is a fixed expense that many people pay more than they need to. If you're trying to reduce your cost, then get as many quotes as you can from different companies so you can compare prices. Also, look for bundled deals where you can have your home and your car insured. A change like this can save you up to $25 a month." Jenna didn't hesitate at all when she heard this and made her search. She realized her insurance was on the higher end and had decided to make the change to a different company that both offered a better price and a bundle deal, easily saving her $25 a month. Jenna wrote down her sixth frugal tip to live by, which is to do your own research when looking for fixed payments so you can get the best deals. The thought of insurance made her think what insurance was really for. She realized that it's always for accidents, which made her think of her children and husband again. Jenna thought, what if Tom got into an accident and we needed to repair the car? And what if little Jennifer needed more medical care? How would we make those expenses? And heaven forbid that we get caught in this horrible mortgage situation again. The seventh frugal living rule that Jenna had decided to start implementing is an emergency fund, so that way she wouldn't have to constantly worry about unexpected expenses which could happen in the future. Jenna's two children then bothered her for some food, and when she looked through her pantry, she realizes that it needed to go shopping. As she looked through her coupon app to make sure she was saving on grocery bills, she noticed that she was spending more on items which she didn't really need. This prompted her to make a grocery list, so that way she should go in and get out of the grocery store and spend only as much as needed. And with this, Jenna learned her eighth frugal living rule, which is to carry a grocery list with you wherever you go to the grocery store so you don't buy more than you need. On her way to the grocery store, she noticed how expensive the gas prices were. Jenna reflected on how often that she and Tom use their cars. She went for groceries, went out to eat with her friends twice a week, go hiking at a park nearby, but as she thought of this, a local bus went by and she thought, well, why don't I just take local transit when I eat with my friends? Or maybe go hike at my favorite spot? This small change ended up reducing her gas expenses by $25 a week. And since she would fill up her tank around once a week for $50, now she had to fill up her tank only every 2 weeks. The ninth frugal rule that Jenna learned to live by is to find ways to minimize her gas usage. On her way back home after grocery shopping, she saw that she forgot to turn off her porch light from last night. With her mind focused on savings, she recalled the insane expenses of electricity and how it's expected to rise over 5% in this year alone. With her newfound vigor and discipline to save, she changed all of her light bulbs, set timers on her outdoor lights to make sure they were turned off, and began air drying her family clothes. This alone reduced her family's energy bill by 15%. The 10th frugal rule that Jenna learned to live by is to find ways to reduce your electricity consumption. After 2 weeks had passed, and Jenna and Tom managed to pay their mortgage bills and save some extra dollars with the frugal changes they've made, due to the new frugal habits, they've also been now able to save up extra amounts weekly, which not only secured their home budget, but they also decided to save up for the dream holidays with their kids.